Welcome back to Small Caps. My name is Kerry Stevenson, and we have got a really interesting story for you, ladies and gentlemen, for our subscribers out there. Kin Mining, first time chatting to me today on Small Caps, and joining me is Andrew Monkton. He is the Managing Director of Kin Mining. ASX code KIN, very easy to remember, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Kin Mining have had a fantastic announcement out today. We're going to talk about that. But first up, let's welcome Andrew to Small Caps. And Andrew, it's great to see you. Let's start by talking about who are Kin Mining and what's happening over there, because you're in Western Australia in the Leonora-Laverton area, which is very, very highly prospective for gold.
Morning, Kerry. Yes, great to be with you for the first time. Good to see you again. Kin Mining, we've been an ASX-listed company for 7 or 8 years now. Acquired this Cardinia project, which is 30 kilometres to the northeast of Leonora, about 5 years ago. And we've been working the exploration on that for this last 2 years in a sort of systematic approach since I've arrived at the company. So where we have about 1 million ounces, just over 1 million ounces in mineral resources so far. The dominant part of that is all at Cardinia. So we're a well-advanced project in terms of the resource development, but we have a pretty exciting exploration story that we'll talk a little bit more about, one of those projects that we've been doing some work on in a moment or two. But we're a well-established exploration company in the Leonora region, which is one of the hottest exploration areas in the whole of Western Australia right at the moment.
Now, you're a proud West Australian. For those that don't know, why is Leonora such a hot area for exploration at the moment?
Well, Leonora's been typically remembered as the place where Sons of Gwalia St Barbara have the Sons of Gwalia mine. So it's a long-established mining history. But there's been some really exciting discoveries in that Leonora-Laverton region in this last 10 to 15 years. Number of the majors are working in this part of the world, the Goldfields and the Anglos and the Dacians and now Northern Stars. So it's a very well-established mining region, and it's having a renaissance by a combination of things, the new technologies that are being applied to exploration, as well as obviously there's been a pretty strong rise in the gold price over this last decade or so. So, good high pedigree areas like Leonora have a renaissance in every boom that comes along, and the gold price above 2,200 Aussie sounds like boom times to me.
Well, I know I've been hearing some stories, Andrew, that it's pretty hard to get geos and rigs, etc. But you've been getting out there and you've been working on this Cardinia Hill. Now, can you just explain to us a little bit about how you came across this area and how big it is? And I think there's more than just Cardinia Hill, but let's start with Cardinia Hill and what you've been doing there and how you came across it.
Okay, so Cardinia Hill is in the eastern side of the whole Cardinia project. So Cardinia Hill is one of the prospects, one of the discoveries that we've made in this last 12 months. We've been taking a systematic approach to the 400 square kilometres of ground that we own at Cardinia. And in this eastern side, of which Cardinia Hill is just one of the prospects within it, in a corridor called the Eastern Corridor. Cardinia Hill has been something we discovered in February 2020, and we've done about 150 drill holes into it now, the deepest of which is 230 metres below surface. We've discovered some near-surface high-grade material. Typical intersections are 15 to 25 metres at between 2 and 6 grams. So, significantly higher grade than the other deposits that we have in the Cardinia stable. But I think the Cardinia Hill discovery is indicative of what we now believe is a much bigger mineralised system in this whole Cardinia region. It has significant depth potential, as I mentioned. Deepest hole here with strong mineralisation is it's down at 230 metres vertical. So the surprising thing for us is that the near surface mineralisation, of which the 1.1 million ounces is dominantly this near surface mineralisation, we think that there's strong depth potential in just about every one of those deposits, and there's more than a dozen discoveries or a dozen deposits in this whole Cardinia project so far. So, the push in this year will be to prove that the depth extensions exist not only at Cardinia Hill but at a number of the other deposits as well.
Andrew, a couple of questions on that. Is this the first time, because we talked about it was quite shallow, and the drilling that's been done in the past, was that just all shallow drilling, and that's what made up that 1.1? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So within Cardinia and the 1.1 million ounces, there's about 500,000 of that at Cardinia, and the other 500,000 is at a project called Mertondale, which is about 25 kilometres north of Cardinia. So the 500,000 ounces that sits at Cardinia is all shallow. So that's no deeper than about 50 metres. So this Cardinia Hill project, which is within that, and there's only 61,000 ounces at Cardinia so far, but this Cardinia Hill discovery, where we're much deeper than that now, will, I think, start to give an insight into all this shallow mineralisation, this 500,000 ounces within the top 50 metres, will all extend into much deeper mineralisation, I believe, over time.
You mentioned, before we go on, you mentioned Mertondale just then. Is that part of the same structure, or is that a completely different structure? It's about 25 k's to the north, did you say?
Yeah, different structure. The Mertondale structure lies to the west of the Cardinia structures. Right. So, yes, it's 25 k's north, and it's about 3 or 4 k's to the west of the Cardinia line of mineralisation.
Now you've got a dozen ore locations. Cardinia, is it Cardinia Hill East on the eastern side? Was there a reason for choosing that and finding this discovery? Is this just solid planning and just saying, look, Kerry, we're just doing a systematic approach which hasn't been done before, which is allowing us to find these discoveries and to prove up the million plus ounces?
It's discoveries are a combination of good science and luck, and we started. Our view was that the eastern side might be a touch more prospective than the western side.
Why?
So we started on the eastern side. It's just geological theory. We sit around sometimes and say, oh well, where should we start? Because you've only got a limited number of geologists, and you've only got a limited number of drill rigs, and you have to start on one side of the project or the other side of the project. And we chose the eastern side, which has been very lucrative and very the strike rate on discovery has been very high there. But this latest work that the announcement came out about today is all on the western side. So, this Eagle Crow mineralisation that we've done the first phase of work on is on the western side. So we have the central part, which is Cardinia. We have the eastern corridor, which contains Cardinia Hill. And now we have this western side called Eagle Crow that we're working on in parallel. So we have a pipeline of projects, some advanced, some in the middle ground of the discovery and development process, and Eagle Crow is right at the very beginning of that process now. So we have this pipeline concept to advance a number of projects in parallel.
Well, I have to ask you. I mean, it is, as you said earlier, it's a crazy time in the gold fields at the moment. It's pretty tough to get rigs and geos, et cetera, et cetera. Have you got enough people to cover what you're doing? Because you've got lots going on. And then I'll come back to Eagle Crow. How are you doing with geos and rigs and?
We're well supplied. We've had a long-term project. From late 2019, we've been doing this exploration program. So, our RC rig, diamond rig and air core rig, and we have one of each, are all working full time with us at the moment. So that's luckily, and then I mentioned this luck element, we got started a little before the boom was really got going, and so that stood us in good stead. Geologists and high quality field crew are difficult to come by, and lockdowns and restrictions from travel from the eastern states into WA hasn't helped, but we're well supplied at the moment, Kerry. Fingers crossed that continues to be the case.
Good to hear, Mr. Monkton. Now, I want to dig a little. That's a unintended pun. Can we dig a little deeper on Eagle Crow, because that's the announcement today? You mentioned that's on the western side. You're still continuing to do work on East Cardinia?
Yes, so the RC rig and diamond rig are working on the eastern side of Cardinia at the moment. This work, which is initial air core drilling at Eagle Crow, was done between the beginning of February and the end of March. The air core rig's off doing something else at the moment, working on another project in addition again. But these results are the first results from Eagle Crow of this systematic approach, which the air core rig did the work in the month of March, really.
And how? Let's just remind our listeners what sort of results you got from Eagle Crow in this latest announcement today.
Okay, so the Eagle Crow drilling's spread over about 18 lines of drilling at 200 metre spacing, so about 3.6 kilometres of strike length. We've had a number of 4 and 8 metre intersections of high-grade mineralisation in that drilling. There looks like there's 2 zones of mineralisation to us, both between 1 kilometre and 1.2 kilometres long. And those results in 4 metre composites, and air core drilling's typically done in 4 metre composites, Kerry, the initial work. That's come in somewhere between 2 grams and 8 grams. The standout was 7.9 grams over 8 metres. And there's a number of supporting drill holes around the high-grade intersections with lots of 4 metre composites going between 0.5 gram and 1.5 grams. So there's lots of mineralisation there. It's early days on that block of work because we're only at 200 metre line spacings at the moment, and we're still waiting on about 20% of the assays to be returned. So it's not a complete picture yet for us, but we think it's got all the hallmarks of a significant zone of mineralisation. And we'll take the RC rig and perhaps the diamond rig away from the eastern side for a couple of weeks once the rest of the results are in, and test what orientation this mineralisation really is in and what the mineralisation really looks like in fine detail. So, it's exciting times.
I was going
still early days on this project.
Yeah, I know. It is early days, but has it surprised you? I mean, you mentioned before, I think it was 7.9 grams per tonne gold, which for those of you out there, the higher the grams per tonne, it's kind of like, it's like the candy store. It's really good dirt, isn't it, Andrew? How would you explain it to those? Because here's the thing, there's people out there, they're not geologists, they're not technical, but they've got money, they're investors, and they go, well, kind of what does that mean?
I always like to think of it in terms of dollars. So 1 gram per tonne is about $80 a gram is the gold price.
Yep.
So if you're dealing with, let's call it 5 gram material, that's $400 per tonne of revenue that you'll earn from that tonne of material. Now, the break-even cost of mining and processing and recovering the gold is somewhere between 0.5 gram per tonne and 1 gram per tonne for the depth of material that we're looking at here. So if you're dealing with 5 grams per tonne, you're dealing with $300 per tonne margin or thereabouts. So it's a very lucrative, when you're getting, 10 times the break-even price of a tonne of dirt, then that's a very strong margin that you get from that project.
Oh, that's and thank you for sharing that, because this is the thing I'm always saying to people, like, not everybody out there is technical. So I like to sort of say, if you want to become a shareholder of Kin, and by the way, do your own research, ladies and gentlemen. We always say this. This is not financial advice. Do your own research. But there's some good dirt. There's some good dirt that you're looking at out there, especially at Eagle Crow. But these things take time. What can investors hope to see from Kin Mining in the coming months?
I think you'll see some exploration announcements in the June quarter and the September quarter of all the work that we're doing now, which is dominantly Cardinia Hill, this Eagle Crow project, and we're working on a third project called Mount Flora, which is a little bit away from this. So you'll see those exploration announcements come through in the June quarter. But in the slightly longer term, Kerry, we have 1.1 million ounces in resource at the moment, and we've long held the view that if we can get that 1.1 million to 1.5 to 2 million ounces, then we're in a position that we can make decisions about how we develop the project. Right. And that's the next big milestone for Kin. And my expectation is that we should be in reasonable shape to do that in the second half of this year. So September quarter, December quarter, once we tick over this 1.5 million ounce resource milestone, then we'll be in a situation that we can start to lay out the development plans for the project.
Why is 1.5 million, why is that a key number for you, Andrew?
It gives you, if you go standalone development and
Yep.
build your own processing plant, then it gives you the longevity in that operation of around 10 years to allow you to discover some more material to add to the processing plant. So it becomes too risky to build a processing plant where you only have a 3 or 5 year life.
Right.
So people try and get to that 7 to 10 year life milestone to attract investors who are capable of funding the significant capital investment that you have to make in a processing plant.
Yeah, well, we'll go into numbers on the next one, but because we're running out of time, one of the things I do want to ask you, Andrew, is, this is your first time talking to our investors. Why there's a lot of companies out there. Why is Kin Mining at this point in your development so exciting for investors to take a really good look at?
Well, I think three things, Kerry. We're in the hottest exploration region in Australia right now. So the kind of discoveries that you can make in this region are far and above better than the kinds of discoveries the size of the discovery that you have to make in some greenfields project that's significantly further away from the capital and the infrastructure that exists around Leonora.
Okay.
Secondly, our ground holding, in my view, is one of the most prospective ground holdings in that entire Leonora region.
Wow.
So it's been ignored by the majors over a long period of time for their own reasons, but I think that it's at least as prospective as some of the really well-developed projects, all within about 100 kilometres of us. And thirdly, we have an investor base that's dominated by some of the most astute investors in Australian gold and resources scene. So the early movers have come into Kin and recognised it for its value. And for retail investors, I think following some of those more astute investors is a good formula. I try and do it myself. So following those experienced guys, I think is a good formula for a reasonable amount of success.
And I always say to our listeners out there and the directors, you've all got skin in the game yourselves. So that's also a good sign. Strong management, all got skin in the game, all looking to make sure that shareholders get good value. I think we were talking off camera that, your focus is in creating shareholder value.
Yeah, absolutely. The exploration and the drill bit have done that to a degree so far this year. We think there's a lot more to come from that. But we're very focused on making sure that the greatest value from this asset is yielded for the shareholders. So really looking forward to what this next 3, 6, 9 months will deliver for us with this exploration push.
Andrew Monkton, has been an absolute delight to introduce Kin Mining to our subscribers today. Exciting times ahead. You're in the hottest, as you said, right from Andrew's lips. It is the hottest area for gold exploration in Australia at the moment. The Victorians might challenge you a little bit on that one, Andrew, but, I'll hold you with that one. Lots of great news coming out. Congratulations on the announcement today. Ladies and gentlemen, ASX code is KIN. Watch this space. Welcome to Small Caps Kin Mining.
Thanks, Gary. Pleasure to talk, and we'll talk again soon.